Tinfoil Talks. I'm your host, Brandon. For anyone out there listening, thanks for watching. Thanks for being a part of this. Kind of weird to be out here by yourself, but this is how we roll here at Tinfoil Talks. The line will be open. That is the number to call in. So, for anyone out there listening, if you have an experience and you would like to be a guest on Tinfoil Talks, just call in, talk with me. I don't know what's going on over in the chat. So, if you're over there, can't see it. Not sure what's going on with that. But the line is open for anyone out there listening. The show has been doing really well for anyone that's been paying attention. Got a lot of things in the works. Today is the last day, the Kickstarter for the documentary. How you doing, Danny? We have hit our goal for the documentary, so that's always cool, always a plus. But once we get all the equipment for it, Ed and I will be out filming some more, getting more things lined up for that. And hopefully we'll have some footage for you guys sometime in the near future from some of the stuff that we've been doing. Usually I try and have a guest lined up for this, but as of right now, there was no one able to hop on here. So it is literally just me out here flying solo to see how it goes. So the line is open for anyone who wants to call in. Otherwise, it is very awkward to be out here talking to yourself in the emptiness of space. That's kind of what it feels like. But lo and behold, that's what we do here. There are some other projects in the works. There's some other cool things going on. Got a lot of interesting guests lined up for the Tinfoil Tales podcast. So if you're a fan of Tinfoil Tales, that'll be more episodes coming your way. The live stream usually would go on at 10 o'clock, but I wanted to do something a little bit different. Thought maybe the earlier hours would help with the audience, but I'm not real sure how it all plays out. It's always a gamble. You never know what's going to happen. Like I said, I don't know if who's watching, anyone's watching. I can't see anything, so I could be talking to nobody. But if you're out there, thanks for watching. And again, call that number that is available 765-431-7958. Get on the line, talk with me. Live streams are always a gamble because you never know who's going to be on, who's going to watch, who's going to call. Never anticipate being out here by yourself, but kind of one of those things that just rolls with it. Oh, somebody's calling. Hello, you're on the air. Are you able to hear me?
Yeah. Hey, Brandon.
Hey, how you doing?
It's good. It's Danny. How are you?
I'm all right. Good to finally talk to you.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been wanting to one of these live streams for a while, so I uh I said, well, tonight I'm gonna call Brandon and tell him um how much I enjoy the show, and I'm a Patreon member, and just encourage everybody to support what y'all guys are doing up there.
Yep.
I'm in the South Louisiana, and far away from y'all guys, so don't get to um, explore up there like y'all guys do. So really enjoy listening to y'all guys. And, I listen to so many podcasts. I'm just trying to catch up with yours, and there's so many podcasts out there.
Hmm.
So, but
Right. Yeah.
just really enjoy what y'all guys do.
I appreciate it. You've been one of the big supporters of the show, so I definitely appreciate everything you've done and being a member of the Patreon and donating to the Kickstarter and everything's definitely been appreciated.
Yeah, definitely. I had a little kind of in our family's kind of been under wraps for years. That I've never publicly shared, just with a small circle of friends. But and when I hear the UFO stories and encounters from people, it's so similar to what my oldest brother experienced in 1979 in South Louisiana one late night while he was leaving one of his friend's house. Um, but never. So I thought, well, maybe I can call Brendan and share the story. And like I said, I've never shared it publicly, but it's kind of been our family um, UFO story. So
Now, if you want to share it, I'd love to hear it.
yeah, so my oldest brother, who unfortunately passed away in 2020, he had cancer, non-COVID related. He did have a pneumonia, but he had cancer and passed away. But he was 9 years older than me. So in 1979, I was probably around not 8 or 9 years old, but he was leaving a friend's house outside of a local town of Crowley, Louisiana, which is a population about 4,000. It's a small town near Lafayette, which Lafayette is 2.5 hours from New Orleans in Lafayette. But nonetheless, he was leaving his house, headed home. It was probably, I guess, about 30 in the morning, and I believe it was a Saturday morning. He was he told us this story about a week later. He was driving on Highway 90, which is a highway that runs parallel to Interstate 10. If anyone's familiar with Interstate 10, it goes from Florida all the way to California. And Highway 90 was the original highway before the interstate system, but he was headed west um, into Crowley coming home. And he was in a rural part of the mountain country, as we call it, with on a 2-lane highway, just him on the highway in his truck. And he was driving along, and he noticed that and to his left, which would have been south of him, he noticed a what he thought was a helicopter or some type of aircraft that was moving moving rapidly, descending down. And he started to slow down because he thought that it was a helicopter coming down to land, and but wasn't sure what was going on. So he immediately slowed down and kind of pulled off to the side of the road. Well, as it approached him on the left, it was probably about a mile from him and was getting closer. But
Mm-hmm.
nonetheless, what descended down was a red, uh, just a red, not a fiery ball, but like I described it, it was just a red ball. Probably diameter wise was probably maybe maybe 10 to 15 feet. He estimated, and was red, and just descended and hovered probably 100 feet off the ground. So he stopped, was on the side of the road, and he watched this spherical red glowing object. He described it as bright orange and red, and he couldn't hear anything. And it stopped in midair, and probably he said stopped probably for about 10 to 15, 20 seconds. He wasn't sure, and he was kind of freaking out, like, that's not a plane, that's not a helicopter, what is that? And the way he described it is that it was to the south of him over a field. There was nothing there. There was no animals, no houses or anything, but it stopped and it hovered. And he said then it began to move over the highway in front of him, probably a couple of football lengths in front of him, and then accelerated at a supersonic rate of speed and went straight up. And he was watching it until it disappeared into the night sky. So he he witnessed that, and he was the only one on the road. There was nobody else pulled over watching this happen. And next morning, I believe he had told my dad about it, but he didn't say anything about it. We found out about it about a week later when he told me. He said, "Hey, I saw a UFO last weekend," and I'm like, "Really?" And he told me about the red ball, and which is interesting because I believe there's of some of the most uh, popular UFO sightings and stories involved a red spherical red orange ball of light. I can't remember the incident where the police officer. It was the infamous incident. The police officer, the skid marks. They have the car like in a museum, and he pretty much described the same exact thing as my brother described, as far as a red, maybe a 10-foot diameter red spherical ball. And if you would have known my brother, he was a tough guy. He was there. He would not. He's a real serious guy, and would have. There's no way that he would have made up something like this. But this story's been in our family for a while, and we've never really shared it publicly, or I tell my friends and quarters about it. But I'm seeing more of UFO type encounters involving spheres, whether they're blue, green,
Hmm.
um, or red or orange. But that's kind of my only UFO story. I've never witnessed one myself, but it was kind of neat to have, at least my brother say, "Hey, here's what happened." Have no idea what it was. So
Yeah. I don't
I thought
know.
that was really, really interesting.
There is a big uptick in a lot of these orb type UFOs. I've actually seen several orange ones around here recently. Like I saw something a couple of weeks ago. It was out in the field. But again, I don't never know if they're just planes or someone with a drone or whatever. So, what? How long ago did you say this was?
This was in 1979.
So a long time before you would have the typical direct.
Any
Yeah,
right.
yeah. But
And there were no flashing lights. He originally, when he saw it, it was coming, and he thought that it was at first maybe some type of aircraft plane type situation where maybe a plane was in trouble, but there was no red and blue blinking lights on the wings. And then he thought it may have been a helicopter, but as it got closer, he said it was a big ball. a big red, orange, bright ball, and he did roll down his window, and he was kind of he was my brother was kind of a tough guy, and he said he was scared, and he was like, well, should I stop? You know, but he did pull over in his curiosity and rolled down the window, but he didn't get out of his vehicle. And when it was sitting out there in the field, like I said, he said it was only 15, 20 seconds passed by, that he saw this object out in the field, and he was debating on whether or not to exit the vehicle and maybe go out there and see what it was. But he stayed in his truck and just kind of watched it until it took off. And he said it just when it started to accelerate over the highway and just went straight up, he said just in a blink of eye it was gone, just like supersonic speed, just gone. And I just thought that was, that's been a story in our family. So I'm kind of sharing it for the first time. It's been a while since 1979. So,
Right.
but
Longer
South
than I've been
Louisiana
alive.
is yeah, South Louisiana is we have a lot of course, the bayous, and the legends and rougarous and all that. And so we have a really, especially in our area. I know New Orleans has its own lore, but in our area, well, of course, there's a lot of hunting and a lot of fishing, and of course you see the alligator hunters on TV, Troy Landry and Swamp People show. And I actually met Troy. But everyone in South Louisiana, we you everyone has a paranormal story, UFO story, or some type of because everybody's out in the woods hunting, and big duck hunting area and deer hunting. And there's a lot of folks that sit in deer blinds, and they've heard a lot of strange stuff, and seen a lot of strange stuff. But we actually, me and my wife, about 3 years ago, we took a vacation to Blue Ridge, where the Bigfoot Museum is at. I think in Cherry Log, I want
Mm,
to say.
yeah.
And we actually went there not knowing that this was like the Bigfoot Museum. So we were able to visit over there, and I believe Josh Gates of Expedition X and Expedition shows Josh Gates had brought a cast there to the museum, so we got to see that. So that was really, really interesting. But that's my UFO story, and it's kind of crazy, when you think about it. But I haven't experienced anything, which is kind of a bummer. But I'm not really out. I don't really seek out UFOs or have anything, encounters. So
Don't you do some paranormal investigating stuff? 'Cause I thought you went to like Waverly.
yeah. So we were members of me and my wife were members of Louisiana Spirits, which is state-based organization with chapters in about 5 cities: New Orleans, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, Shreveport. And me and my wife, we were members for a couple of years with the paranormal group. And we went to Waverly in June of May of the end of May, beginning of June last year, and was able to go with Amy Bruni and Adam Barry of Kindred Spirits. They do a Strange Escapes, where it's kind of like a paranormal vacation, where you can buy tickets to the event. You can buy VIP tickets. So we always get the VIP tickets, and we get the special investigations with Adam and Amy. And we went and investigated Waverly Hills, which is the big sanatorium hospital up in Louisville, Kentucky. It's actually about 15 minutes south of Louisville. And it was an interesting time, but what we didn't know is that Waverly, the current owners of Waverly, um, they are there's an investigation every night. There's people in groups that go every night. There's not a night where there's not people that's investigating. So we had a really interesting time. It was so funny. My wife, she's 5'1" and she's fearless. And if anyone knows about Waverly Hills, the first time I found out about Waverly Hills was through one of the paranormal shows back in the early 2000s. Mr. Zach and his crew, they had went to Waverly and went down the body chute. And so my wife was she was real excited about going down the body chute. So she was kind of, let's go, I was like, wait a minute. It was so funny. We were with a group of about 15 people, and our the tour guide, the guy that took us down there, he's like, all right, he says, if whoever wants to go down to the body chute, and nobody wanted to go down the body chute. And my wife's like, well, let's go, so we kind of went down there and we went all the way. So if you go down the body chute, there's a sealed door at the bottom, and the tunnels will go up and out, but you just go down the chute, and you kind of can go halfway, and then it's sealed. And people bring they'll bring stuffed animals, they'll bring arms and things like that. That was really interesting. A couple of guys went down there and joined us. So there was only 4 of us that I guess were brave enough to go down the body chute. But we did some EVPs. We didn't get any EVPs. We didn't get any, just the disembodied voices and all that crazy stuff that you see on the paranormal shows. We didn't get any of that. But it was really, really fun to hang out at Waverly that night. It was pretty neat, but we didn't get any evidence or anything like that at that time. But it was fun hanging out with Amy and Adam. They're really, really, really good people. If you see them on TV, and it's they have podcasts. Amy has her Haunted Roads podcast, and Adam has his podcast. He's actually doing some stuff, a lot of solo stuff. So we're huge fans. My wife's huge fans. They're really, really nice people. If anybody in the audience gets to meet Adam and Amy, I think you'll be surprised how down to earth they are. They're just regular people. But Waverly was that was pretty cool to experience that in the middle of the night. Kind of spooky, but we didn't really get anything. We didn't get really anything paranormal. But I don't know if you got anybody else that's calling in and wants to talk.
The lines will be open. I don't know if anyone can see it, but Ed just hopped on. So,
well, hi to Ed.
Yeah.
The first time I heard Ed, Danny, hey man, I gotta talk to you, Ed.
Sure.
You are one entertaining SOB. You and Brandon, y'all guys. I think I had I don't know. Maybe Brandon had sent you a message about you and Ed's chemistry.
Yeah.
I feel like
I said y'all guys.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I feel like I haven't done enough to be funny, so I don't know what. I guess
Well,
it depends on what I.
Well, Ed, it's you just being you, Ed. That's you don't have to try to be funny. It's just
Thanks.
No, I don't know how long, Brandon, I've been listening. Like I said, I'm way behind on your podcast, and I feel guilty.
Mhm.
But and I am a Patreon member, and I do encourage everyone to support your show. And oh yes, and I did wear the did I send you a picture, Brandon? I wore the Tinfoil Tales T-shirt.
I think you did, and
Yeah,
my OCD kind of flipped out because is it crooked? Like, is the logo on it look crooked to you?
I don't the logo on the T-shirt.
Yeah, because
It if it is, I didn't notice.
the company that I had making those shirts, it looked crooked. Like the one that I ordered as a demo to test it, it came in crooked. So I haven't been promoting that website because I was like, I don't trust them to make it straight because it looked crooked.
Right, right. No, it looked. If it would have been crooked, my wife would have noticed, and she would have said, "Hey, your logo's crooked." Yeah, but she didn't say anything. So everybody was like, "Oh, cool shirt. What's Tinfoil Tales?" And I'm like, "Well, let me tell you about it." So there's this guy that does a podcast. It's really interesting stuff. I said, I love and I tell everybody, because Brandon, you're different when you do your podcast, because you're doing it for the people. You're not really. I mean, you let people talk like me. You don't talk over people. You just let people talk. And it's so funny because I know some of the interviews, they can get pretty interesting on the stories, but what people need to understand is that these people are they're what they've experienced is what they've experienced. And if it sounds crazy, then well, that's your opinion, but you if you didn't experience it. So I really enjoy the candor of the guest. And um especially I can't remember the lady's name that you had interviewed last year, but she was really good. Her stories were pretty amazing. I think it was some abductee, alien abductee story. And I think I I think, Brandon, you kind of subscribe to the theory on UFO abductions as maybe some type of suppressed, um, uh, I don't know the word I'm thinking of, but
Childhood trauma.
childhood trauma, right? Thank you. And it expresses itself through that means of, the people telling the story about the abductions. But that's pretty wild, pretty wild. I can't remember the lady's name, but
I believe you're talking about Laura.
yeah, yeah.
I don't.
And it's just you.
I don't necessarily think that all of it's that way, but I think there might be some underlying that maybe was caused by that. But I also don't want to say that I don't believe people because I wasn't there. I don't really know what they experienced. But I feel like for me, a lot of the times when I hear people's stories are very similar, but a lot of it, I wonder if, because it happens at such an early age, I wonder if it's not because of like some sort of previous childhood trauma and they've manifested this thing to cover it up, like kids with the boogeyman or any like some irrational fear, and their mind can't cope with it. So instead of thinking of what happened, they've invented this monster or this alien or whatever that did all this type of stuff.
Kind of as like a coping mechanism.
Yeah, it's their mind's way of dealing with it. Basically, they can't cope or deal with the actual reality of it. Their brain can't process it, so instead it becomes something else.
Yeah, and I grew up, just a little bit about me. I grew up in a very like you, Brandon, a very religious, strict religious background, family. My dad would have made a great Puritan. My mom was a Southern Baptist. My dad was Pentecostal, and um, so very strict, religious background where you weren't allowed to explore or think or talk about things. Everything was taught to theology and the Bible and Christianity, and you just didn't talk about things if you've experienced things. And um, I was a huge, always interested in, sci-fi, huge, Star Trek. And me and my buddy growing up, huge Star Trek. And of course, when the X-Files came out, I thought I died and went to heaven with that show. But I yeah, I watched every episode and was just, I thought it was one of the best. Yeah, one of the best series. And of course, you had all the movies, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and exploring the alien question. But I was always really, really, I was skeptical of UFOs and all that just because I haven't seen one. But listening to my brother's experience and listening to other people, I mean, there's just, you know, there's the government. Is it the government doing it? Is it just Area 51? Is it just, is it some top secret technology that people are witnessing? Just like the Travis Walton abduction is wild. There's really no explanation. You can't really explain that one away.
His movie
But
scared the shit out of me as a kid.
it really did. Well, I was a little bit older, and I believe him. I mean, I totally 1,000% believe him. And I mean, there's it sounds kind of cliche, but there's things out there that we just don't understand, and maybe we will one day. But and it's just like the question of Bigfoot, just Sasquatch, is it just drives me crazy because I want so bad definitive proof. I'm not one of those. I When people like say, well, we need a body, I'm like, no, don't kill it, type thing. But I think you've said before on your show, until we, I think you kind of said it in jest, saying, well, it's just going to take somebody dragging a body out and saying, well, here it is. But the Bigfoot question was always interesting. When I was really back in the 70s, they had the movie The Legend of Boggy Creek.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a really terrifying movie for me because I think it came out in 75. I was like 6 years old. I'm an old guy, but really terrified, man. But just enjoy what y'all do, man. Love listening to y'all. Love the stories. And I'm more on the paranormal side, though. I'm a ghost guy, so I don't really I've had experiences where I'll tell y'all guys a story if y'all have some time.
Sure, go for
We
it.
got time. Actually, before you start, I was laughing when I came in because I finally got this Riverside thing working. Not at your story when I walked in, and also thank you for the comments because I remember what we were talking about when you said Patreon stuff. It does that.
Yeah.
Crinkle conspiracies.
Yeah.
Crinkle conspiracies. Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I was like, what is he talking about? Yeah.
We haven't done one in a while.
Yeah. We got to give him his money's worth, though.
We do need to record some. It has been a while.
I need to. No. Am I echoing?
No, somebody said I was.
Oh no, you're Ed. You sound like Ed, dude. You
okay,
you
because I
sound
hear
like
it talk
you're
back
so laid back.
every time I talk, I hear an echo towards me. It's kind of weird.
You can hear yourself. You didn't hit echo cancellation, and it won't let me change it because we're already in the process of being on the live stream.
All right, whatever.
I don't like Riverside, so Riverside, I already canceled it because they wanted to charge me $44 a month, and they only allow me to book 3 things in advance. I was like, for that kind of money, they could eat my ass, the whole thing. I'm not doing it.
That's not part of the Riverside.
But we back in 2019, me and my wife, for my 50th birthday, and I want Ed to laugh at this
Sure.
so bad. So so on my 50th birthday, I this is what I wanted for my 50th birthday. I wanted to go to Las Vegas, and I wanted to go to Zach's haunted museum for my 50th birthday. And that's kind of crazy, I know, but I wanted to do it. My wife's like, she was like, no, you're not going. You're going to get an attachment. Something's going to
So what
reach
is
out.
exactly? It's like it's a museum or something? I never
He has
heard
all
of
sorts
this.
of weird haunted artifacts.
Ooh.
So basically, I think Zach, I'm not sure if Zach's, and I don't want to talk about Zach. I'm just real quick. Ed and
Sure.
Lorraine Warren, I think the Warrens, there's a lot of, there's different 2 camps on them. They're shysters. And if you listen to, those 2 other guys, those 2 the married couple that has a podcast, I can't think of their name. But anyway, he looks like Dracula, but I can't think of his name. Kurt, the new Kirks. Sorry, I'm gonna get sued. Like, I love Greg. If
Greg
Greg's
and Dana.
listening, I love you, man. I love Greg and Dana. But they're not fans of them. But long story short, I'll get to my point. So they had a museum and they had artifacts, and I know Greg and Dana, they have artifacts too. So I think Zach kind of, I don't know, jumped on that bandwagon. So his museum is just full of like, he's got Kevorkian's van that he's actually got the van in a room where the patients went in. I call them, well, patient, I don't know if that's a good term, but the folks that wanted to do the end of life thing, that van is there. So I wanted to go to the haunted museum, and my wife's like, no, I don't think we're gonna go there, right? So she said, and so she planned. She says, I'll find some place for us to go. So I'm like, cool, because she knew I really, I love the Ghost Hunter show. I was real paranormal, love the paranormal, ate it up, just fell in love with it. Just like, oh God, I want to do that, And so we ended up going to San Antonio, Texas, to the Black Swan Inn. And the Black Swan Inn is a big mansion, historical mansion that was built in the 19th century north of San Antonio, and is owned by a lady. She still owns it, and they have a paranormal group there called the Curious Twins, and it's Fred and Steve, and they're a couple, and they started paranormal group called Curious Twins, where they do overnight investigations of the Black Swan Inn. So I saw Black Swan Inn on Ghost Adventures, and it was like, oh, that's cool. So we actually went to San Antonio, and we did an overnight at the Black Swan Inn. And so we were there with about 20 people, and Fred and Steve, we were going over what we were going to, it was about 9 o'clock at night, and they were going over what we were going to do for the night as far as investigation wise. They were going over the basic equipment, like the mail meters and all the ghost hunting equipment. And Fred mentioned that there was the owner she had a doll, and the doll's name wasn't Annabelle, it was actually Abigail the haunted doll, right? So he said, yeah, we did a tour last year, and during the tour someone stole the doll was out and somebody stole the doll, Abigail. And so that was a bummer, right? So she wasn't happy about that, so they stopped the tours for a while. But about 6 months later, guess what shows up in a box back at the Black Swan Inn? It's Abigail the doll, and they had a note inside the box saying, hey, you can have your haunted doll back. And so Abigail was returned back to the Black Swan Inn. And you're probably wondering, what the hell does this have to do with your story, Danny? So let me get to the point. So now you have to understand, I have my first digital recorder, so I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be Jason Hawes and Zach Bagans and all those crazy guys. So I said, yeah, we're gonna investigate. So we at the beginning of the night, he did a history of the Black Swan Inn, and it was adjacent to they had a battle during the Mexican-American War. There, actually, it was the Texas War, Alamo deal. They had a battle. I forget the name of the battle, but the property is adjacent to a battle that took place where there were multiple soldiers and killed on both sides. But he was telling us about all the paranormal stuff that has happened. They had weddings there, and they claim to see apparitions and things like that. So me and my wife were like, yeah, this is cool, And he goes, well, we're gonna start investigating, and whoever wants to go see Abigail the doll, you can follow me. And there's a bunch of outbuildings from the main house, and Fred and Steve, they kind of stay at the main house, and they just let you investigate the grounds. They let you go into the outbuildings, and just see what happens. And Fred says, whoever wants to see the doll, you follow me. We're going to go see the doll. Go with Steve if you want to start investigating. Go with Steven if you want to start investigating the outside grounds. So I asked my wife, I said, hey, do you want to go see the doll? And she's like, yeah, absolutely. So we followed Fred with probably it was about eight of us. And we walked outside, and we walked into this outbuilding that had no electricity. It was a single room building with one door. And we walked in with our flashlights, and they had a couch by the window, and they had this huge curio cabinet in the corner. And Fred and Brandon, I can actually send you the audio of all this too. It's okay. Pretty cool. Fred's very articulate, and he says, hey guys, and I can't think of the owner's name, but said she just recently went to an auction and bought this curio cabinet, and Abigail the doll is in this curio cabinet, and this is where she's going to stay, and she's going to live in this building. And we're like, oh, that's weird. My wife's kind of like, rolling her eyes. And I'm like, okay, cool. He goes, her name is Abigail. You're welcome to talk to her, take pictures, ask her questions. And we're like, okay. So we thought, and this is how the night began. So it's about 10 o'clock at this time. And he says, guys, I'll be in the main house. If you need anything, come and get me. Just hang out here as long as you want, talking to this haunted doll, which was, for a 50-year-old guy. It was actually, and this is, and Ed, you'll like this. So it was, my birthday is on the October 13th. And which is kind of cool because my birthday falls on Friday the 13th. So it wasn't Friday, it was a Sunday night on my birthday, and it was a full moon. So it kind of gets you into the ghost hunting mood, right? Nice. So getting back to the weird haunted doll. So anyway, So he left. Fred went back to the main house, and me and my wife were kind of mingling and kind of whispering, like, "Oh, she's so pretty." My wife was saying, "Oh, she's so pretty," and there's the doll, and she's like the Victorian, antique Victorian doll.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what does she look like for the audience?
So she's just a if you can imagine, just she's a porcelain Victorian antique doll. It's not like a Raggedy Ann like Annabelle.
Yeah, those are more creepy than the Raggedy Ann things.
Yes, and Brandon, I'll send you and Ed the pictures of this doll. Y'all guys will appreciate that.
I don't like dolls in general; they're creepy.
Yeah.
And so, I'm feeling pretty at this point in the night. I'm like, man, it's my birthday today, and we're in San Antonio. We're in this outbuilding out in the middle of nowhere, and we're talking to a doll, right? So, and my wife is very she was very skeptical, and she's like, oh man, this is crazy. So the people that were in there, they just kind of took some pictures and ended up leaving. So we ended up staying behind because I'm a kind of a weird guy, and I'm gonna see. Okay, I'm gonna talk to this doll like I'm gonna talk to this doll like she's real, right? So my wife is behind me, and my wife I said, take some pictures of Abigail the doll. So you have to understand it's completely pitch black. There's no electricity running to the building. And my wife she took probably 4 pictures on her iPhone. And I have my digital recorder going. And I just walk up to the cabinet and I'm talking to her. I'm like, hey, you sure are pretty. You really have pretty eyes, and thank you so much for letting us talk to you. You really are pretty, and thank you. And we're gonna leave now, and but before we leave, and at this point, I raised the recorder up to the display case, and I said, would you like to say anything before we leave? And I probably recorded, uh, probably about 10 seconds after I said, would you like to say anything? I recorded about 10 seconds and I shut the recorder off. And my wife's like, okay, let's leave. Let's get out of here. So we went outside and there was this couple that we had met, 2 ladies, and we ended up going into another building and doing some stuff, some EVPs, and it was pretty cool. And my wife's like, hey, let's listen to your digital recorder. And it was brand new. I was cool. First investigation. I felt like a ghost hunter. And it kind of makes you feel cool. I don't know. If you ever like in a paranormal group, I don't know, it makes you feel like something. But anyway, so we walk off and to a quiet, because they had people talking and mingling, and they were talking too much really. But I like silence when I'm ghost hunting, so I can hear stuff. And so we're playing back the entire spiel from Fred. He's telling a story about she got this piece of furniture, and we're listening to on a digital recorder. And so yeah, so it gets up to the part where I'm talking to her. Hey, you're pretty, and would you like to say anything? And lo and behold, my two friends, that freaking doll talked. Now, you cannot audibly. We have a clear, and more to this story later. We have a clear EVP. When I said, when I asked her, would you like to say anything? You hear a female child's voice say in a loud whisper, you may take a picture.
No thanks.
as clear as day. And when my wife heard that, she immediately started dropping F-bombs like, what the F? What the F is it? What the F? What the F? And said, play that again. And of course, the people were coming over in the group, and we're like, holy beep,
Right.
And we played it, and it is clear as day. This doll, we have a record. It's a recording. It says, you may take a picture. Now, so we went to the main house, and of course Fred was in there, and he's like, I said, Fred, you got to listen to this. And he, after he listened to it very nonchalantly, he's like, oh yeah, she, we get EVPs from her. Yeah, that's really not surprising. I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? So that was kind of my introduction into, that was my first EVP. Actually one of many, but when you ghost hunt, you get all kind of crazy, unexplainable. Now, whether or not, I mean, I don't know the science behind EVPs, and I don't understand. You can do it on your phone, you can do it on a digital recorder, but that was our experience at the Black Swan Inn. But we didn't have any other experiences that night. But that, so, but that was kind of cool. I thought it was fantastic. I was just crazy. And kind of fast forward to in 2023. So we went in 2019. In 2023, I believe there was a ghost hunting show that was going to the Black Swan Inn, and I think it may have been Jack Osborne and Katrina Weidman.
Good thing not Jack Black.
What's that?
Good thing not Jack Black. That's Ed's nemesis.
Yeah. And so they were going to do a paranormal show, and actually Fred reached out to me. He actually emailed me because we had given him our information. I sent him the EVP, and he's actually the only him and Steven with Curious Twins in San Antonio. They're actually the only people that we actually released the EVP to. We actually emailed the EVP to the famous You May Take a Picture, but they wanted to use it. The producers of the show wanted to use it, so they sent us a release, and I had to actually sign a release for them to get permission to use the EVP. So we were like over the moon. Me and my wife were like, holy crap, they're going to play our EVP on, Jack Osborne's show. And, oh, it's going to be freaking cool. So I called Fred. I'm like, hey, man, did you get the release? He goes, yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you, man. Yeah, dude, they're going to film, and we're going to be in it, me and Steven. And I'm like, cool. And so it was set to air, I think, like a couple months later. So so what happened was they ended up freaking not using it, and they cut it out of the freaking show, out of the episode. And we were like, Ed, we were like, WTF, like, really? Come on. That's like cool evidence. And they cut Fred's part out too, his interview. If you watch the episode, the only person that made the cut was Steven. But Fred, they didn't. You can't. And to me, Fred's like, he's like the guy, the main guy. Steven's kind of like they're kind of like Batman and Robin, Steven's kind of reserved, and Fred is he's a good guy. But that's my 50th. That's how I spent my 50th birthday, talking to an inanimate porcelain object that apparently liked me and said, you may take a picture. And you're probably wondering the significance. So the weird thing about it is that I never, while I was in there, I never took a picture of her, like with my phone or camera. I had a digital a full spectrum digital camera that I use on investigations. And anyway, I didn't take a picture of her, so it was kind of funny that I asked her, "Hey, would you like to say anything?" And I was really nice to her. Like, if you listen to the recording, I'm just like buttering her up. You know, like, "Oh, you're so pretty. You got pretty eyes," and which is kind of weird, I know, but I'm a weird guy. I don't care. So,
Sorry.
you know, and for her to say, you know, you may take a picture, you know, was kind of went along with what was, went along with what was happening, you know, at the time. But anyway, that's my San Antonio Black Swan Inn story.
When it comes to dolls, I get creeped out. But this guy,
I mean,
this little thing here, this is my new mascot. So when I go to my live events,
oh,
Timmy's going to be here. And people's like, that's so creepy because I drew eyeballs on it.
That's not creepy. Going to like an antique mall with the Victorian dolls that are who knows how old, and they like stare at you through the glass, and I'm like, ooh, yeah.
But this guy had more photos taken than me or a lot of people that are around us. Like, this was like the highlight of my booth. I was like, you don't even care about my podcast. You just want to picture this stupid mannequin head with eyeballs and a tinfoil hat. But I don't know.
No, I'd like to ask Ed something, if that's
Sure.
okay.
That's fine.
Ed, what do you think? What's your opinion on these EVPs, man? What are we capturing, man? What the hell is that? In your opinion?
Well, I'm not.
Is it supernatural, or is it just bullshit? I'm not
a paranormal expert at all. Like, I'm actually terrified of like ghosts and shit. And so I think what it is, as many people have explained, and Brandon has it, it's like trapped energy from the past or a dimension. But how could you be in the same spot when, like, for instance, you asked a doll and it replied to something? So I wouldn't think that. Well, I don't. That's what I'm thinking. It's not like trapped energy from a past, because it wouldn't say at that moment. Yeah, take my picture. So I don't know what another dimension, and then the crossing over of our dimensions, and then I don't know. But why would you want to be trapped in another dimension as a doll? You know,
it's like your energy's trapped somewhere.
I'm really into. I think I'm really into. I've dabbled into, you know, the metaphysics of ghost hunting. And actually, Brandon, I wanted to. I wanted to do a show with you and just talk about the paranormal and the trying to tie the metaphysics, science into the paranormal, and try to, you know, explain, you know, consciousness, and you know, it's really boring though, metaphysics, but I'm trying to figure out. And we did join a paranormal group. We were asked to join after doing a couple of investigations with them. They had some events where they sold some tickets, and we went. And the lady that runs the chapter in Lafayette, she said, "Man, you're really into this. You know a lot." And I'm like, "Yeah, well, you know, I've watched a lot of TV, and you know, I'm kind of a science guy, and I'm kind of into the you know, all the old psychologists, you know, Carl Jung, and you know, even Jordan Peterson, but you know, he I'm so interested in the metaphysics around ghost hunting and paranormal, because Brandon, you understand, and Ed, you understand too, that the majority of the people that would tune into your podcast, or you know, any paranormal supernatural podcast, whoever it may be, they're just like, these people are crazy. these people really need psychological help. And man, and y'all guys know that whether it's the cryptid community or it's the paranormal community, these people are not crazy. These people are very, very curious, and they want to explore things that I know for me, I want to explore things that are just unexplainable, you know. Uh, and I think the success of the podcasts and the TV shows are, people are kind of coming around to the idea that, hey, maybe there's something maybe there's something to this. Maybe all these people aren't lying, which is ludicrous to me. Why would someone just, if you're gonna, I guess the way I look at it, and it's the way I think, if I call you, Brandon, and you say, hey, Brandon, I want to schedule something. I've had an encounter with a UFO, and you're like, cool, Danny, I'm calling, I'll listen, and we'll get it out there. I'm like, cool. I could come up with a pretty elaborate, interesting story, but I listen to these folks that tell about their experience, and not that it's not interesting, but if you're gonna, and I kind of look at it like this: if you're gonna like say, "Hey, I'm gonna try to fool you, and I'm just gonna make up a story," and for the hell of it, you would add a little bit more interesting little things. But man, I hear things, and I mean, you have some guests that are just, I mean, I'm just blown away because it's not really anything too outrageous. They just say, hey, look, here's what happened. I'm in the freaking woods. I hear something, I see these two freaking eyes, and all of a sudden there's this 9-foot thing. And, the first thing I think is, man, God, I wish that would happen to me. Because Brandon, I am with you, dude. I would chase that thing down, and I would be the first person killed by dog, man, or Bigfoot. And I'm that guy. I am Ed. You hear Ed? I am that guy. I swear, if I'm in the woods
and
I see,
join him because he wants me to do that, and I'm like, I don't know about that.
I want
Brandon.
Brandon. I'm with you. When it comes to anything paranormal, cryptid, I'm fearless. I'm chasing after it, and either two things are going to happen. Like there's going to be a guy in a suit, or I'm going to get killed. And
that's the only two options it's going to be.
Right.
You're either going to find a guy or you're fucking killed. There's no other way.
But Brandon, I had and I don't know if y'all have other callers or y'all sick of hearing me yap here. I tend to in my line of work, I tend to dominate conversations and all that, so I apologize. But
I didn't like my photo.
I
gotta change it.
What?
No, don't worry about it. It's part of the video.
But Brandon, I have a. What's that? Go ahead.
Well, go ahead. Ask him, and then I'll go next.
Well, I was gonna kind of get into Brandon's experience, but I know, Brandon, you don't like talking about your experience. But I had a couple of I had a strange thing that happened to me, not non-paranormal, but it immediately made me think of you when it happened. Probably a couple of months ago, we had a kind of some bad weather, and I was driving on the highway. I was coming home. I have about a 45-minute commute from my job to my house, and so I'm on like highways and stuff, and they're building an overpass on one of the highways in Lafayette. So I'm cruising on this highway. The weather's kind of rough. It hasn't started raining yet, but the wind is kicking up, and well, all of a sudden, one of the the big black tar paper or whatever construction term it is, piece of insulation kind of comes over the road, and it was a big sheet of black tar paper, and it just kind of like flew over the road and kind of danced a little bit, and I said, holy shit. I said, I wonder, like, and I know that's not what you saw, but it made me think of you, and I'm like, damn. And because I know the initial experience where you see the thing, I call it the thing with no legs, and kind of, I think you actually kind of ran into it, if I'm remembering the story correctly. You kind of, yeah. And I immediately thought of you, and obviously, I mean that, but what you saw later on obviously had nothing to do with something floating around by the wind or something like that,
Right.
But that's kind of made me think of you when that happened. I was like, oh shit, it's like a Brandon thing. So, but that must have been terrifying when that thing stood up. I would have. I don't know what I don't know what I would have done. I don't know. I don't want to. I know I said I would run after it, but I don't know. That's pretty amazing, man. And the little mouse. I tell people that story, Brandon. Like, I've told so many people your story, and the mouse is the most interesting to me. The mouse is the most interesting part of the story.
I
The
say
little
the mouse is
mouse,
the creepiest part of the whole thing, 'cause I actually touched it.
You should have brought it home and like put it in a squirrel cage or like a little hamster.
No.
It would have hatched.
But Brandon, let me, I'm not gonna ask you too many things, but the encounter you had with the thing that stood up on its hind legs, and it was not a bear, like 100% sure. It was and I know when you tell the story,
I wish I could say it was, but I know it wasn't a bear.
you see it. My wife swears up and down it was a bear, and I said, Kim, her name's Kim. She's a little Mighty Mouse, 5 foot tall, but I said, Kim, it was not a bear. I said, you have this.
Bears don't have bushy tails like a dog.
Right. No. They don't. But that's just crazy. And you're starting to hear more about people having experiences with bipedal canines, more and more and more. I've been hearing, like I said, I listen to a lot of podcasts, and it pops up all the time, and I'm like, hey, Brandon's way ahead of you guys on this.
I wouldn't say
I
wouldn't say way ahead, but my thing is, and like I've explained this before, and it's like beating a dead horse, but I really don't even believe in this type of stuff, to be 100% honest. Like, I don't believe that a dog but
Ed, you have to agree, that's the genius of the program Tinfoil Tales, because I tell people that. I said, this guy's like, Brandon's not full of shit. There's a lot of people I know full of shit, and I hear people full of shit. This dude is like legit. Like, he's like, okay, here's what happened. I'm just throwing it out there. Let's talk about it. So to me, that's the genius of the show. Because you have this normal guy, and something happens to you, and you're like, what? What? I want to know what happened. I want somebody maybe to try to explain it to me. And I remember the first time I found you, I started listening to your podcast, and you know, they have people out there like, oh, well, you need to be, you know, call these people out. And I'm thinking, no. It's like, why would you like, hey, come on my show and I'm just going to make fun of you?
That's what I've been
It
accused
doesn't.
of.
You're the format, and I'll just tell you this, the format of your show is perfect. Don't change it, Ed. Don't change what you're doing. Y'all guys
I'm
are
not part
nailing
of it.
it.
I mean, kind of,
Well, you get on sometimes, and you're entertaining.
It's his show pony. I'm just here to, because I've never had any encounter myself. Like nothing. No.
Well, we're gonna
ghosts,
change
no,
that hopefully.
I don't know about, but
Yeah.
no. I thought I saw some sort of stuff in the sky. I'm still questioning it. Other than I had a witness, but it was cool. Which actually, like, you brought up the UFO thing earlier, and you know, you're saying like, or everybody was like, what if it's the government thing? So, my thought was, so if it's the government, right? And with everything going on about lying about shit, so it's like I had a thought I lost about it. It's basically like, if they tell us now and they're real, should we just hate our government even more? Like, what? I want people's opinion on it.
Well,
I think if they actually
Well,
admit to anything at this point, they're not going to believe it anyways, because anything that comes out, everyone's
Well,
worried
What
about.
if?
you
Let's
know-
say, what if? Would you hate
You-
your government
you know
even
what's
more
really
than you do normally?
and Brandon and Ed, you know what's really scary is the fact that the man with one of the biggest egos and mouths in the world just got elected president, and when his I don't know if it was the little Barbie press secretary chick who let me just be nice, but I think she came out and they're like, well, hey, you know, when Trump was running, he's like, oh, he's going to get down to the bottom. He's going to tell us exactly what's going on. And she's like, oh yeah, he's drones. And they're like, no, whoa. Yeah, it was drones. Well, drone, okay, all of them were drones. Was it? He didn't say shit about it, and it's like, if he's not even going to talk about it, or if he knows something, you know, why isn't he saying anything? He says, oh yeah, the day one, if I'm elected day one, you know, I'm gonna tell y'all exactly, you know, the serial number on every drone and where the drone came from, and it was Bob's drone from New Jersey.
There's a lot of day
Or it
one
was-
promises that haven't happened yet. I'm still waiting
I
on
mean,
my groceries to go down. I'm still
I
waiting on my
told-
paychecks
I
to get
told-
bigger.
I said, I hope in 2016 he did, you know, he did so obviously, and I don't want to get political, man.
Not
but
at all, because
Sure.
that ruins the whole show.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it does, I know.
We'll
But
go from 5 people
yeah.
watching to nobody in 2 seconds.
But anyway, yeah, God bless our government. I hope everything I hope everything works out. No, but
Myth says they're prepping us for it. So like, I mean, we should not be shocked anymore. But some people don't care about alien stuff either. So it's really hard to explain to the public that doesn't care, because they're just like, you know, there's people that are really politic,
yeah.
like seriously into politics, and they wouldn't bring up like you know, science fiction stuff. I don't know. I don't have politician friends or I'm friends that talk about politics, and if other friends are talking about it, I just kind of say something stupid, because I don't care about discussing old men that don't care about us. You know, like with money. That's just my opinion. But
Yeah, there's a lot of apathy. There's a lot of apathy, and I just wish, you know, we should, you know, pay attention to everything that's going on, including UFOs, sightings, and people that are coming forward.
Now I want my flying car. If this is the way we're gonna go, I'm ready. I'm ready for my flying car and be like, hey, we don't need gas. We use the magnetic pull of the Earth, which has always been there, but we lied to you and we thought we're gonna sell you gas and tell you that it's it's limited, and that's why we jack up the prices. And I'm like, with all, I think I've said this before, with all the technology in the cars, the Monster Truck Fest, the NASCAR, the Rockets, we should have ran out of that. So, what is the deal? Anyway, me ranting.
There was a lot of dinosaurs back in the day.
Well, then, there's none in Indiana. Like, you think, like this guy
So
helps dig up roads. You think he'd find some sort of fossils?
No, I didn't find any Bigfoot bones or anything either.
But yeah, I'm sorry I went on a tangent there. That's my bad. And I think Ed, you when we kind of were talking about Brandon's experience, I think you wanted to say something, or you may have forgotten. I'm sorry.
I basically said I don't have any. He said like, oh, you're gonna see something because I'm supposed to take film about this. And I'm already terrified of any kind of whatever's in the dark. I'm not a ghost hunter at all. I feel like it'd be okay in a group, but like I feel like the group, as many people said, the group kind of ruins it because it's only like a limited amount of people that you might see something. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, my theory on groups, you're not gonna get a whole lot of activity just because it messes up the energy. Like if you were to take a couple of 2 or 3 people that go into a haunted house and they fully believe in the paranormal and they've had experiences, and you have ghost hunting is you have to be very, very polite in ghost hunting and very quiet and humble to get any type of I guess call it a response, whether it's a knock. Because I'll tell y'all guys, we were doing an investigation, and we were doing a guest investigate. We had guests with us, and I took a group, and we were in a courthouse, and we went on the 3rd floor, which is closed off, and they had actually a hanging room. And in Louisiana, we like to hang our people. Back in the day. Louisiana's really a good state.
Is that where you're from?
We get such a. I am in deep South Central Louisiana. I am 25. Yeah.
A lot of
it kind of explains it, huh? It's really a lot of I mean, I'm gonna throw a bunch of paranormal terms at y'all. It's got a lot of energy. It's got a lot of it's if you look at the state of Louisiana, it's kind of an anomaly because we changed ownership. We were owned by Spain and then France and then the US, and then we went back to France and then we fought a war, and but it's all kind of crazy.
Why would French
stuff,
go there, by the way? Because there's the French Louisiana accent, and I'm like, why would the French go there and then up to Canada, but nowhere else?
Well, we had the Acadians that were exiled from Nova Scotia that settled along the bayous, and then we had the French proper. They actually immigrated directly from France to New Orleans, and of course the port of New Orleans saw all of the, you had all the Caribbean islands, all the Creole people, and so we had a very, very, very diverse culture down here. But anyway, what I wanted to say, and we were doing an investigation, and we were on the 3rd floor, and there was a lady that I told her, I said, hey, look, she had a digital recorder. I said, okay, just start asking questions and just see what we got. Everybody be quiet and let's just kind of get the feel of the room. And so she was asking a question, and so she played it back. But while she was playing it back, in the corner of the room, probably, I'd say the corner of the room, probably about 5 feet from me, you heard a lady that just came out and said hello, just like someone standing there just saying hello.
Hell no.
Just a full on disembodied voice, just out of thin air saying hello. So that's kind of talking about paranormal hunting and that whole jive. It's just that you just can't explain it, because I'll watch the shows, and I'm kind of I'll binge watch all of them, just trying to get techniques or whatever. But a lot of stuff on those shows are
made up.
Are actually, in my opinion, some of the stuff is real, some of the stuff maybe not, or just exaggerations.
I guess I don't watch many, because after a while, like, you're just like, they're just getting over dramatic, and then they'll cut to commercial, and then it's like nothing, like, oh, it's a bird. But I don't know which shows actually show anything other than like those. They're not really like they're.
I mean,
there's
some
places, and then they'll show like video clips, but not like the full going out and doing the.
Yeah, like the paranormal caught on cameras. That's kind of a cool. That's kind of a cool show. We enjoy watching that. Some of it is kind of hard to believe, and you can. I'm at the point now where I can pretty much. I mean, I have my opinion on whether or not it's real or not, or who knows, but it kind of looks fishy. You can kind of tell, like, I don't know, because I was kind of in the same situation, and it's kind of like, well, but who's to say, right? Who's to say what's right or wrong? But Ed, I have another paranormal ghost hunting story that y'all guys might find funny. We were investigating we did an overnight at a haunted inn, which was built in the 1840s, actually farther south in a town called Centerville, Louisiana. It's the Centerville Inn. It's a 2-story inn. It has probably about 10 bedrooms, and we're doing an overnight there. And the owners, they're like swearing, like, oh man, everybody stays here. There's a lady that visits them at the bedside and all this crazy stuff. But so we did an investigation. Of course, the first place I wanted to go was the attic, because they said they had a lot of activity in the attic. So we set up all of our night vision cameras, and we had all of our REM pods and everything. And I told the rest of it was probably about 6 of us, and I told the rest of the group, hey, I'm going to go in the attic, and it's pitch black, and I set up a infrared camera up there, and I just love it. I just love going into attics, pitch black, middle of the night, looking for ghosts. I really, if I could do that for a living, I would.
Versus
and so I'm just kind of. We don't have basements in Louisiana, Ed. I'm sorry.
Oh,
we don't have basements.
That makes sense. Oh wow.
Our water tape. If you dig 10 feet down, you'll hit water in South Louisiana.
Oh hell.
So anyway, yeah. So I went up in the attic, and I had an infrared camera behind me on a nice tripod. And I actually had set up all the equipment on that investigation. And so I'm sitting there with my digital with my digital recorder, and the attic was said to be used is where the wounded soldiers, they had a Civil War battle around that area. And actually, a lot of Civil War battles were in South Louisiana. A lot of Civil War historians and buffs, they don't realize we got a rich history of a lot of Civil War stuff that went on. But nonetheless, I'm sitting in the attic, and I was up there probably a good Lord, I don't know, maybe a couple hours, just chilling, kind of waiting for something to come grab me, or I don't know. But so I was asking questions on my digital recorder. So I got bored. I wasn't getting anything because I was playing it back. There's nothing going on. So I started whistling, just whistling. And I don't know why I started whistling. Just whistle, maybe something would whistle back, right? So just to kind of show you, I guess, spirits have a sense of humor. And you got to understand, we record hours and hours and hours of video, and we have each infrared camera has audio on it. So when we're reviewing evidence, we're watching the camera, and we're also listening to the audio that's coming from the camera, because we picked up EVPs from the camera microphones and not our digital recorders, which is crazy. But so I'm in attic whistling. So anyway, I get out of the attic. It was a good night. We didn't see any crazy stuff, but I was reviewing the evidence later on that week, and I got to the part where, oh, okay, this is the part where I'm in the attic. So I'm listening to it, and I get to the part where I start whistling. And while I was whistling up there, I said, I just started saying, "Can you whistle?" And then I would whistle, and I would say, "Can you whistle?" And then I would whistle, hoping I would hear something audibly and not just on the EVP, on the recorder, digital recorder. So I got to a part where I said, "Can you whistle?" And I whistled. Well, about 2 seconds after I whistled, there was this old man, this old, like, grumpy man that came through on the EVP, and he said, "Whistle." He didn't whistle. He said, "Whistle." And it's clear as day. I still have I got all of my EVPs logged, but he said, "Whistle," and I'm like, "You have got to be kidding me."
So what you should do before you go on. You should be like on an episode, be like the haunted New Orleans episode.
Nolans.
Doesn't know how it's
pronounced.
Just saying, because I feel like you could probably be on an episode.
How do I say? I say New Orleans. I don't know if that's weird, Brent.
I say New
Orleans.
I don't know.
Yeah, I say there's people who say New Orleans, and I say New Orleans, and then New Orleans. If you're from New Orleans, man, you talk like you're from the Bronx, man. You talk. They have kind of like a Bronx type New York
their own
accent.
dialect.
Their own dialect, yeah.
It's like New York.
But so yeah, that was my experience in the attic with the old guy who said whistle. That just blew my mind.
I don't know. I don't want to interrupt, but this was kind of cool. Someone just donated. We have 2 hours left before the Kickstarter done. Someone just donated $125 to the Kickstarter for Ed and I's documentary. So thank you if you're listening.
Awesome.
Appreciate that. But
I guess they like my stories, Brandon. I don't know.
I don't know. Like, I'm hopefully Kickstarter actually gives me a list of everyone's names, because it doesn't show me who's donating. So a lot of these people that are donating want to be in the credits, and that was the thing. Like, if you donate so much towards this, like, you get a credit for being a producer, you get a credit for just being in the thank yous or whatever. But they don't tell me who's donating what, so I don't know these people's names. So it's going to be really hard for me to figure out who to put in the credits if I don't know their friggin' name, because Kickstarter doesn't tell me who's donating. I would assume they'd give me a list after it's done here in 2 hours, and it says who's all donated. I've never used Kickstarter before, so I assume it would work that way. But
hey, Ed, Brandon, you're a smart guy. I see you working all this equipment, and I couldn't do it, like the podcast stuff. I guess because I'm older, but man, it's got to be very, very technical. And I know you talk about how much time it takes, and for you to put together a show, and it's a real commitment, to do all this, and get out there and do a podcast, and it takes money and time.
That is the one thing that a lot of people don't understand, is the amount of time and energy it takes. Like, I honestly don't take a whole lot of time editing anymore, because at this point, it is what it is. So I trim some stuff here and there, but for the most part, I don't go out of my way to edit a whole lot, just because I feel like when you start to take out things that people are saying and you're making it fit this way and you remove this and you remove that, then you're making it your own version of what the conversation was. And I don't feel that's authentic, at least in my opinion. So I try and leave it as untouched as possible. That's just me. I know a lot of people butcher the shit out of their episodes. I've been on podcasts before and they edit like entire segments that I've talked about out. I was like, okay, whatever. That's weird, but
I think the hardest part about doing podcasts is not really the technology. You can get something cheap, but it's the idea that it'll catch on. That's one of the hardest things to do because there's so many out there. And then I guess he doesn't sleep, so that's probably why it helps his work ethic to do this. I have nothing to do with it.
I'm OCD about a lot of things, so and I'm hyper fixator, so I get asked a lot how I managed to get so many like episodes ahead, this and that. I was like, I record like 3 or 4 interviews a week. Like,
that is impressive. And I remember I was listening to one of your podcast, and I don't know what time it was, but you're like, yeah, man, I got to get to work. Like, man, I got to let you go. And, I got to get up in 4 hours and go to work. And I'm like, damn.
yeah.
This guy's in his basement. And it's so funny, Ed, when he, like, his kids are coming down or banging, like wife's banging on the doors.
Right.
Like, come on, quit talking to all these weird people. What are you doing, Dad? What are you doing? Like, oh, and
I'm out of the basement.
Brandon's like, it's like, he's like, I gotta build a studio outside. And I told my wife, she doesn't listen to podcasts. She listens to hair metal. I don't know, she's old, but
Yes.
and Brandon, she scolded you, Brandon. She did.
For
And she said, Brandon's got kids. He's gonna, he's talking to all these people, and and sometimes there's some bad energy that can. And I'm like, well, he's building a studio outside. Funny you mentioned that. And she wasn't serious though. She was just kind of picking, and because I was kind of telling her about the show, and I said, Kim, I said, man, I said, Brandon, he shared a little bit, I mean, a couple of strange things happened in his house. And I think you had shared some experiences on a previous podcast. And
most of that happened before I even did the podcast.
oh wow. Did that influence your decision to come forth with your story and actually do a podcast? Or
not so much the weird stuff in the house. We don't even really talk about it or mess with it. Like, we just had some weird stuff happen a couple of months ago. It's just, we don't want to give anything any attention or energy, so it's just whatever.
No, I respect you. You're private and you keep it private. And I've definitely, that's one thing, one of the biggest reasons, I love your podcast. Really respect you because, on those other podcasts, it's really just, they just share everything. They don't care. They're, it's more of a entertainment, want to make money type deal, as opposed to you're just, you just want to get out there and just talk to people. I love to talk to people about, because I'll ask people, hey, have you ever had anything, strange happen? Tell me about it. And it's fun it's fun for me. I don't know if it's fun for them, but I love to hear stories that I can't explain.
The whole concept of this show, to be 100% honest, was supposed to be me and Ed talking about a bunch of weird conspiracy shit that didn't end up panning out that way. So we recorded the weather.
We still do on occasion.
Yeah, we recorded the first episode was talking about weather control. And then from there, it just turned into me interviewing people with their weird experiences, like with cryptid stuff and paranormal stuff, because I don't know. I just felt compelled to do something because I had my own experience. I couldn't talk about it. And even doing the show for almost a year, I never talked about it. The first time I'd ever publicly talked about it was on our other podcast that Ed and I did, talking to someone else about they're local from Indiana, but we weren't even talking about anything about that. Somehow it got brought up, and I ended up telling it on our Dark Side of the Scene show about what happened to me. And then from there, I was like, screw it, I'll just talk about it on my own show.
So how'd you find this?
I would love.
Daniel.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You cut out.
I'm sorry, Ed.
I don't know what you said, Ed.
Yeah.
I said, how'd you find this podcast of all of them, amongst all of them?
Tinfoil Tales. So, what podcast? Oh dear. Oh, I'm a huge I don't know if y'all guys are familiar with Horror Babble. The British, well, I don't know if I guess he's from Britain. He sounds British. It's called Horror Babble, and he reads stories horror stories from the 18th and 19th century that were written by, like, Edgar Allan Poe and all of the horror authors back in like 19th century Victorian England. And it was so I was listening to Horror Babble, and I opened up my iPhone I listened through Spotify, and it was recommended. Tinfoil Tales was in the feed down there, and I was like, oh, Tinfoil Tales.
Nice.
And to be honest with you, I think the Tinfoil Tales is the name is just genius. When I saw that, I was like, Tinfoil Tales. I mean, how freaking cool is that? How do you not click on it and listen to it? And when I found out Brandon was
because
It
some people
depends
when I
on,
heard Brandon was
yeah, it depends on which one you click on too, because there is the Australian ladies that do a podcast that still irritates me because it come out like 3 months after mine did.
Yeah, and when I found out Brandon was a huge X-Files guy, I was like, oh yeah, man, this guy. Because to me, that's great show.
So here's what's funny. We just finished the original seasons, and I just recently, like last week, I started watching The Office again. So I didn't finish. I haven't
nice.
finished all of the new X-Files seasons. I know they came out with like 2 seasons, like 10 years ago, 7 years ago now, something like that. I've never seen those, but I wanted to watch it with my wife, and she never watched them before. So we started a couple of years ago from the beginning, but I got rid of Hulu, so we never got a chance to finish it. We just got Hulu back, so we started going on past up until we're now in like season 11. So we're on the very, very last season. We're a couple episodes into the last season, so we just need to finish the last few episodes, and I'll be completely done with the series.
Yeah, it's such a great, funny show. Michael Scott, he's but yeah, so I'm really I guess my roots are in, and I say roots. I mean, I'm big. Growing up, I was a big sci-fi guy, horror guy, huge Edgar Allan Poe fan. Just intrigued. Stephen King. And it just kind of goes into the whole paranormal, and I just started the last couple of years getting into the I say getting interested in, curious about this dog man and phenomena that's kind of, it seems to be, I don't want to say it's overtaking as far as in the cryptid world, or experience people that have had encounters. I don't think if you have, I've always told people, because I don't really, you talk about it and they think you're crazy. They're like, are you serious? And do you really think like there's a big 9-foot thing? And I'm like, yeah, I do. I think, yeah, I do. Because if you interview 1,000 people, or let's say 100 people that say they saw something or came face to face with something, even if, let's say 75% of the people are making it up. Not all. I mean, there's no way that all these people are just saying, oh, well, yeah, I'm gonna just say I saw one too. For what? For you got people who have encounters and they've never said anything, and you talk to them and they're 80 years old and they're like, oh yeah, back when I was logging back in when I was 25, yeah, we used to see Bigfoot all the time, and you're like, what? Like, yeah. Like, are you serious? Yeah, absolutely. No, they didn't mess with us. They just kind of ran off. We didn't say anything. We didn't want to lose our job.
Right.
You hear a lot of stories. You hear a lot of stories from older people that are pretty credible in that realm. But it's just crazy. But yeah, I'm obsessed with just the whole cryptid, paranormal, UFO, bringing on. It's to me it's so fascinating to explore something that you don't know what's going on with it, unexplained. Maybe I'm just weird. I don't know.
No, that's funny. You mentioned the Bigfoot thing, because we were coming back from Michigan, and there's like a group of us in a car, and my friend was like, "There sure is a lot of Bigfoot stuff in like Michigan," and then I guess in Tennessee, it's like, "Is that where it's centralized?" And I was like, "Well, supposedly. I mean, apparently they're spotted everywhere, but there's just so vast parts like of Michigan and then Oregon and Tennessee that's where it was a funny question that she randomly asked, because I didn't it's like, oh, that is the normal person to ask that. So I mean,
it seems to be, before I started listening to the podcast, I had no idea southern Indiana, how woods and how remote, and
mounds,
all the parks up there, and Mount. Yeah. I've learned a lot about Indiana. So, like I said, we were up in Louisville, and we had never went up there, and it's and look, and here's the crazy part about it, guys, is people ask, my family, coworkers. I've been at the same company for 32 years, and I'm just kind of coming out of the paranormal closet, cryptid closet at work. But nobody has any idea we went to Waverly. They said, "Oh, what y'all did for vacation?" I said, "Oh, we drove up to Louisville." And so, "What did y'all do?" I said, "Oh, we went to the Muhammad Ali Museum, and we went to 4th Street and ate some barbecue and just hung out." Yeah.
Is there Bigfoot in New Orleans?
It's like, oh, we went. We did an overnight in Waverly in the body shoot with
How did that go?
Adam and Amy, and it was my wife was so excited she almost peed her pants. She was like, it was like seeing a little girl like Christmas morning. She was so excited. She was like, I'm in the body shoot. I'm in the body shoot. We're in the body shoot. We're in the body shoot. And I was kind of creeped out a little bit, but
I would be.
we didn't really. It was really cool. It's so funny. Everything on TV looks so much bigger, and that little body shoot is so small. It's so tiny. I was like, good Lord. And I'm a tall guy. I'm 6'3", and I felt claustrophobic. And we had a pretty good group of people with us, and only 4 of us went down all the way.
Did you get it?
And we didn't get anything in the body shoot. We just, unfortunately, I brought all. They let you bring all your equipment you want. I brought all my equipment, and I did on my full spectrum camera. I mean, I got some maybes. I got a couple interesting pictures on the 3rd floor where they have this thing they call the creeper, and the creeper is this black mass. If you can kind of imagine kind of a big spider-looking thing that kind of crawls on the ceiling and crawls down the walls and crawls on the floor and kind of runs around. Yeah, they call it the creeper. And so we went. Oh, we went to the third floor and I took, I don't know how many pictures, hundreds of full spectrum, and there was a couple of pictures that are interesting, but who knows. But we had a really, really good time. I get my adrenaline going, and it's great. It's, I don't know. It's scary, and gives you an adrenaline rush at the same time. I'd recommend it to anybody. Like, just go on a ghost hunt and just experience it, and and when something strange happens, it's really cool to see people's reaction to it. It's like, yeah, and they were like, "This is real." I'm like, "Yeah, that was real."
Can't do it.
So,
well,
but
hopefully here in the next couple of weeks, Ed and I will be out doing our own little investigations. You keep saying no.
Yeah, I can't wait.
You're already too deep into it now.
Yeah, I wish I could go with you guys. It would be fantastic.
The places that we're going, I don't know if I want people to know where we're going, so I'm not going to say, just because I don't want people coming out there screwing around. But the places that we're going to, some of it's private property, some of it is property that we're not supposed to be at. Probably can't really say one way or the other, but
yeah, I've been there.
There's just places that we're going to be going to, and we're going to be setting up, and a lot of it we're going to do during the day. But and then we will do some nighttime stuff just to see, because every time someone has something happening, though, a lot of it's been during the day, which is weird, because when you look into a lot of the stuff that people talk about, it's never during the day. Usually everyone's out at night looking for this stuff. It's like, but everyone that I've spoken with, a lot of the weird shit that they've seen has happened in broad daylight, at least in this one specific area. So I don't know. So we've already been to that spot a few times, so we'll see what happens again. But some of these other spots, like, I think we're just going to go there, film it, walk around, see what we can see, and then hit up a couple of these things maybe at night. And at this point, just put it together and see what we get. I'm going to get some. I've been suggested from people that we need to get a spirit box, one of those things that talk to us. And I don't know if I really trust them or not, but we'll see what they say.
You could hire the band.
Yes.
The band spirit box.
Wait, Ed, I listened to them. You like the spirit box?
They're a good time.
Yeah.
That's the lady singer, isn't it?
Yeah, they're not doing anything different, but it's cool that it's a singer, female, and that whole movement.
Speaking of music, real quick, on a quick tangent, we were in Houston this past Saturday. Good Lord, Friday night, and we went to the House of Blues. My wife's a huge '80s child, and my brother-in-law joined us. We went and saw Stephen Piercy at the House of Blues. And Stephen was the lead singer of Rat. And so we went to. So that kind of tells you a little bit about me. I'm a huge music rock guy. I've seen Ozzy 7 times. I've been to 6 Ozfest. I've seen Metallica. I mean, I'm huge rock guy. So it kind of. But during the day, I'm Mr. Corporate America.
There's no wrong with that either.
Well, I wear a suit. I wear a suit inside of work, so it's so funny, If people only knew, right, Brandon?
Well,
crazy.
I have to dress nice for work too. So there's that.
I hear you. You sound like you have a really good job.
He delivers bags of chips.
A really good job
daily.
Yeah.
I don't talk a whole lot about what I actually do, because there's certain
I don't blame
there's
you.
certain things I'm legally not allowed to talk about, so I don't really talk about what I do. Like I vaguely talk about that I work in construction, but I don't talk about anything else. So
yeah, no, I know you're bigger than that, man. You kind of downplay everything you do, but you're doing a good job, man. Just love listening to you, man. I tell everybody I can to check you out, and there's so many podcasts out there. People are like, oh, listen to this. Like, just check it out. You're gonna like it.
That's why I asked how you
You'll
found
hear
it
some really
amongst all the rest of them. Yeah, that's cool.
It was I was listening to the Horror Bible, and it was recommended, and I saw Tinfoil Tales, and I'm like, yeah, and clicked it, and I forget my first person I heard, and I was like, man, I like this guy. This guy's like, he listens, he lets people talk, man. You don't interrupt, Brandon, which is good. Look, and nowadays that's unheard of, man. Kudos. You listen, man. Just let him talk.
He's turning into the episode. Look at his screen. It's got the logo and his color. He's drinking Mountain Dew. His skin will be yellow or green. Also.
Apparently,
the show.
You still have audio issues. Yeah, I don't know. Whatever.
It's echoing.
Yeah, says your voice is.
I think y'all guys need to get your own show, man, and just
I don't have much to
just
say,
go out there and
do what? What'd you say, Ed?
I said I don't have a lot to say.
But Ed, when you do talk, it's the way you say it. I'm telling you, man, you have a gift. You don't know, bro. I'm telling you, y'all guys don't know them. Y'all guys are cool. That's what we say in South Louisiana. Y'all guys are cool. So that's like the biggest compliment you can give to someone in South Louisiana is like, oh man, you were really cool. It's kind of a dated. I'm an old guy, so yeah, it's great. Pretty cool, man. You guys are cool, man. I'm glad I was kind of nervous calling in, and I'm thinking Brandon's gonna be like,
I think a lot of people
what do you want?
That's probably why it doesn't always work. They're like, maybe they're afraid to talk to people on the phone because talking on the phone is almost a lost art for a lot of people.
Yeah, my 22-year-old son is incapable of doing that. He's on Instagram, and he's on the social media platforms that his dad's not on. So I'm still on Facebook, and he's like, oh, Facebook is for old people. I'm like, thanks. Appreciate that.
No, it's not. Everybody still uses it.
No.
You can't really promote
it does.
a business on Instagram that well. There's no details.
There's just so much out there, and it's hard to, I guess, grow it's hard to grow your fan base. It's got to be through word of mouth, and it's like, go check out Tinfoil Tales, man. Buy some swag. I got the little dog man on my truck, the decal, and I got the T-shirt. So
I definitely appreciate the support, but
yeah,
I don't want to cut it short, but I only plan on doing this for 2 hours, and we are hitting.
You got it, man.
We are hitting that 2-hour mark. So, Danny, it's been a pleasure talking to you. I'm glad we finally got a chance to talk.
Yeah, this is long overdue. And Ed, much love, man. Brandon, much love.
If you got New Orleans
appreciate y'all.
Stories, you should get on an episode.
I do.
And record with. Yeah, you should do that. Stories for that. My opinion.
Yeah, real quick, and Brandon, I know you need to go. I appreciate you. I do have a paranormal story in New Orleans hotel. I have a huge story, Peabody Hotel, Memphis, Tennessee, that would blow y'all guys' minds, that I have to tell somebody, because the only person I've ever told was my wife, and it was wild. Peabody Hotel. I did an investigation at the Peabody Hotel. It's purportedly the 7th floor haunted. Peabody Hotel. I don't know if y'all know. It's the ducks. It was the ducks that walk into the through the doors. There's mallard ducks, and they float around in the little fountain all day, and then they go up in the elevator to the top of the hotel. They actually have a building for the ducks that they stay in. I don't know if y'all familiar with the Peabody Hotel in Memphis, but it's a big tourist. It's a big tourist. It's an older hotel. It's about 100 years old. So, but there's a bad dude, bad spirit there.
Don't
And I found
it.
out the hard way, but
don't spoil it. I want you to. That way you can get an episode.
Well, all right, guys.
You can be on the ether
Yeah.
forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. People are like, who's this guy from South Louisiana? But just appreciate y'all. Thanks for letting me yap for 2 hours, man. And I had a blast. Appreciate y'all.
Yep. Thank you. You have a good night.
All right, Brandon. Take care, man. Bye, Ed.
Peace, man.
I think that was the longest time I've had someone call in. Usually it's pretty short, but I definitely appreciate Danny. He's been
Thank you, Danny, for those comments.
Yeah, he's been a loyal listener. He's a member of the Patreon. He's actually donated money to the podcast, which at first I was kind of like, I don't want your money. Take it back. It's kind of strange, but it is. Hey, I appreciate anyone out there that supports the show. So definitely appreciate Danny.
Hell yeah.
But no, to wrap this one up, like I said, I didn't want to do a Kickstarter for the documentary, but I was suggested to do it because I've been spending the money out of pocket. I didn't set a very big budget. It was only like $1,000. We hit it in 2 weeks. We're at, last I looked, almost 1,800. Almost doubled the budget. We would have been at almost 2,000, but a couple of the backers pulled their money out, which I didn't know that was a thing, but
they didn't like you.
I guess they lost hope. I don't know. But there's still
rent was due.
Probably. I honestly don't, like I said, I don't know anything about Kickstarter, so I don't know how it works.
I actually joined one and sent some money to a guy for guitar picks because I'm a nerd.
We're at $17.90. So we've had 36 backers. So anyone listening, if you were a backer, you guys are awesome. We have actually filmed probably, like 6 different interviews so far.
Right.
So we do have those done. The guy that's in the comments, Myths, that's actually John Eden. He was one of the first ones we interviewed when we did at the library. So he's in the chat tonight, so shout out to John. But we have those done. There's still a couple of other ones that we're going to go do in person. We have someone lined up from the actual local tribe who's supposed to be taking us out and showing us all the sacred sites, telling us all the truth about their actual legends. And then we're going to do all the investigations. So if anyone that's interested in weird paranormal stories, or they like watching ghost hunters or shows like that, we're going to try and add a little bit of that, but I don't want to do the over-the-top bullshit fake stuff like I think all of them do. I also don't want to be boring. So it's like a happy medium. We're not going to show you 15 hours of Ed and I walking around stepping on sticks. That's dumb. So you're going to get the raw live versions of what happens. If nothing happens, then I guess it's a boring documentary, but you can't go out there expecting something to happen. So, but on that note, glad everyone was able to check this out. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks to Ed. Thanks for Danny for calling in. You got any final words?
No.
Good. All right, guys, take it easy. We will check you out next week, same time, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The line will be open, so call in, share your experiences. But this is Brandon from Tinfoil Tells. This is Ed from Ed. I don't know where you're from at this point. And we will check you out on the next one. I have no idea how we end it. I guess that button.
Leave.
There. No, we're good. It's done. You got to stay here because it's uploading.